I think it's time we look at a film that not only deals with the horrors of the flesh, but it actually was so significant it split a subgenre into two parts. You had the traditional zombie or the rabid infected. So let's take a look at 28 Days Later. It has been 28 days since Jim, a young bicycle carrier, wakes up from a coma. London is deserted, and it seems the entire world has disappeared. But in reality, a devastating virus has infected the planet, turning the population into blood-crazed psychopaths driven only to kill and to destroy the uninfected. Now Jim must join a group of survivors to get to safety away from the infected, or at least try to survive. If I were to use one word to describe this film, it would be visceral. Just vicious and raw and just in your face of, this is it, the end. Not in a big boom, not in a giant disturbing thing, but in a quiet whisper. And looking back at the concept of 28 Days Later, a person coming out of a coma and just seeing the world has gone to hell, that isn't that far off from how people could see what happened during the pandemic. In fact, there are parts of the film where Cillian Murphy's character is wandering around London in an abandoned street, a normally bustling, non-stop area, just silent and riddled with litter. And that did happen in major metropolitan areas. A concept that was too far-fetched for even us to understand what became a reality. There are infectious diseases that have horrifying consequences. Granted, not to the level of this movie, but it's still, the idea of it is what makes it so disturbing. I remember when this movie first came out, and it really was divisive for a lot of people. It no longer became, oh, are you a fan of zombies? It became, oh, do you like running zombies or do you like walking zombies? And it's, to call them zombies is kind of not really true. I mean, technically, yes, they are dead, but they're more rabid beasts than anything else. The makeup effects and graphic nature of the film make it so much better and way more holding up than people ever give it credit for. And the foundation of the film is literally carried completely by Cillian Murphy's performance. He is one of the most underrated actors, and I'm happy that after 22 years, he's finally getting recognition. Danny Boyle's filming style is just guttural. It's just rough. The one time he tried making something that was clean was Yesterday, and that movie sucked. It's interesting to see his filming style be not shaky camera, but more dirty. Everything's dirty, grimy, gross. Even 22 years later, it still holds up as one of the most visceral horror films of all time. Not because it shows too much, not because it's so gross or anything, but because it actually has well-paced intensity. You feel like someone's grabbing you and rushing you out the door from an unknown horror, because that's what it feels like. And once you strip away all of that, you get 28 Weeks Later, which is a horrible sequel to a great film. And my hope is that since Boyle is going to come back into the helm, he follows more along the lines of this movie, learning from his own past experience, having made both Trainspotting 1 and 2, and uses some of those aspects that he used in the past to make a good, decent, really intense horror film for a newer generation. Only time will tell. Even if he fails, we'll always have this film as a part of our horror collective consciousness. Come back next time as we dive into more horror here on Jack-O-Ween.